Welcome to United Jews channel.
Right, I think we all agree with that. Dmitry, you wrote a few notes. What would you like to add to this conversation?
Yeah, sure. So first, I'd like to add one short rant about my thinking about Putin's intention. I'm listening to various analysts because there is like a common concept that he is mad and therefore like we should be afraid of like his random emotional, pushing the red button kind of things. I think, there are several analysts who agree with that, is that Putin is totally rational. There are many symptoms that show that he actually, he's not like religious fanatic. He enjoys a rich life. He wants to live. He cares about surviving very, very much. He cares about himself. He's deep in the bunker there, and he has like slightly twisted worldview in part because he's delusional because of its own propaganda in part, and because of like negative selection of people under him, because the system was selecting people who are loyal, not necessarily people who are professional. And also he's rewarding those who give him good news, and he's punishing those who give him bad news. Therefore, a lot of lies are coming up to him. But out of that screwed worldview, he's very, very, very rational. And in my opinion, the only reason why he doesn't give up right now is because he is delusional about possibility to win at least something, like grabs at least some territory, or because at least something is still a win for him. It's still something that he can make a better victory out of it in his internal propaganda to solidify his rule for next years. And in my opinion, even though Trump maybe is not super representative, like as a think tank of like conservatives, like he maybe is an outsider, but because of his leverage and because of, in my opinion, like one of the reasons why Putin is doing everything he can to try to hold longer is because he's hoping for Trump to win next year. I mean, if he can last through another year and Trump wins, so basically this delusion that Putin can win at least something, which is in part fueled by Trump's narrative, is one of the reasons why the war doesn't stop today. Because he probably realizes that he cannot win in a military way, but he still hopes for a political win. And that's why it is dangerous, in my opinion. That's why like spreading this kind of idea of that feeds wrong hopes to Putin is one of the reasons why people die today, that people who might live.
I'm sorry, Dmitry. I lost you in correlation between Putin and waiting for Trump to win.
Well, Putin is very reasonable. What I'm thinking is that if he understands that he cannot win in a military way, which probably true, even through all the
why he kills like hundreds and thousands of his own kids, like of Russians, just because he's waiting for Trump to win in 24.
He doesn't care about killing Russians. He can kill 1 million. He doesn't care. He's a rich dictator guy who has trillions of dollars, and he will hide it from all other Russians because he controls propaganda and media. Putin doesn't care that the war is inefficient for him.
Okay, you bring up a very good point, Dmitry, and I want to expand upon that because I think it's very important that we understand. The domestic press here in the United States is very much polarized. That if you say that that Putin is smart, and he's rational, and he's clever, and he thinks he's a chess player. Okay, he's playing chess on the world scale. But if you say that, then you support Russia and this and that, and you hate Ukrainians and stuff. That's what we're getting in the press here, and that's completely untrue. Because if you do not understand and recognize and if you in fact underestimate your enemy, you are putting yourself in a very, very, very dangerous position. And that's what's happening in this country. We're saying, well, Putin's mad. He's crazy. He's going to use nuclear weapons. He won't use nuclear weapons. He won't use them. He can't use them. But there has to be a valid, believable possibility for that to happen.
But don't you see that as a coalition? So what I'm trying to see is actually, Dmitry just mentioned that Putin is waiting for Trump to win in 2024, but I do not understand the logic there, because I
think Putin would be very I disagree. I think Putin he's waiting for the results of the election to see what happens. But the problem that we have now is Biden is an incompetent and very, very weak president.
Absolutely. And
he has no idea. And there is no in the current administration, there is no one that has any credibility in to say, if you use nuclear weapons, we will use them in return. Nobody in the current administration could say that and be taken seriously. It'll be and this is what I heard in Russia at the time, was like, what's he going to do? With Obama, is he going to draw another line? And that's why he waited. While he took Crimea when Obama was president, because he knew that Obama did not have the credibility to do anything. No,
because at the same time, Biden was responsible for Ukraine. And
exactly. And he took Ukraine. He invaded Ukraine because he understood that Biden didn't have the backbone to stand up against him. Now, he understands that Trump, Trump is a wild card. He's a loose cannon. No one knows what Trump is going to do.
Exactly.
Okay. And for that reason, they don't know how to react. They won't know how to react. And they'll say, well, Trump scares the hell out of everybody. Okay. Kim, Xi, Putin, all of these guys, nobody made a move while Trump was president.
Absolutely.
Because they were afraid that crazy son of a gun, he might just launch a bomb. Whether you support Trump or like him or not, it doesn't matter, because that crazy son of a gun can throw a bomb. And the fact that Trump understands that Putin is very, very intelligent. He's not a dummy. And that scares Putin, because Trump knows he knows what's going on there. The fact that anybody thinks that Putin's an idiot is a very, very dangerous thing to think right now. It is a very dangerous thing.
Fred and Rina, can I interrupt you for a second? I think we need to let Dmitry and Michael to comment as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Please go ahead.
No, I'll go.
I just lost Dmitry, and I wanted to find out his line of thought, why he thinks that Putin is waiting for Trump. So
let me quickly answer Rina's comment, because she asked it long ago. So first of all, I don't think that he's waiting for only that. I think Fred is right that he's like playing chess. He doesn't necessarily want to win with every move. He wants to create a stronger position, stronger here, stronger there. And like weaker US means stronger Russia. So it's like equal sum game. And this is how he looks at it, I think. So, like, if Trump wins, it doesn't necessarily that Trump will force Ukraine to sign a treaty and give the territories, but it means it will create enough of disturbance, enough of division in U.S. to make U.S. weaker, and perhaps to block future military aid. And so on. And by the way, we Ukrainians understand that like 80 or 90% Ukrainians actually are fed up with this and support, fighting all the way before they deoccupy the entire Ukraine territory in 1991 borders. But Putin doesn't believe that Ukrainian people may have this self-awareness and subjectness. What Putin thinks, and he genuinely believes in that, is that Ukrainian government are American puppets, and it is America using Ukrainian governments is fighting Russia this way and hurting both Russians and Ukrainians. I think Putin can honestly believe in that.
He does. And Putin has his own set of beliefs, basic beliefs. And one of these beliefs is that the West is weak. And it is partly true, because West is democratic. Western world, Western politicians have to look to their electorate. And if the electorate gets tired of this, and if the electorate say, why do we need all this? Why do we support this war, halfway around the world? We're tired, we're paying through this, and we have a lot of problems inside. So these politicians get voted out of office. So in that sense, Putin is correct. West is weak. Dictatorships are stronger in that sense, because the dictator can do what he wants. So in case of what he's trying to do, he's trying to divide. He's trying to promote his propaganda that it's not worth it, that Ukraine it's not worth fighting for, and we're not gonna do anything bad, just So he's partly correct. And in fact, as bad as that sounds, I think he might partially succeed in this.
I have to agree with Dmitry. I have to agree with Dmitry when he says that Putin is taking as much as he can so that he can say that, well, I will give up something that he didn't want in the first place if I can keep what I really wanted. If you have 80% of the pie, you can say, well, I'm going to give this 20% back, which he didn't want in the first place. But that 60% that he did want, he'll get to keep. He'll say, well, I'll give this back to Ukraine, but I'm going to keep this, Donbass, Crimea, and that area, the Eastern Ukraine. I'm going to keep Eastern Ukraine and Crimea, and I'll give you back the rest of it.
That is probably what will end up happening.
But
that is what I think.
That pretty much it's not what Ukraine will agree upon, right?
I really hope not.
Guys, we have Krista joined us. Just FYI, Krista just joined us. So Krista, welcome. And we have Dmitry, Fred, Michael, and Rina online. So
Krista, it's good to hear you. Good to have you here.
Yes. So we were all waiting on you. So great to have you. Please
Sorry
go on,
about
guys. Yes, we are still on question number 2, I guess, finishing up before we move on to legal promises at summit. So please move on, guys.
So Michael, I was just trying to clarify a little bit. So when you're saying, I believe what you said, the piece of the pie. So what was the pie that he was looking for? I mean, he got Crimea and everything was pretty much hunky-dory, because Biden was very clear that nobody's gonna, it's only because of when the Trump came in the office and he actually passed the law through the Congress and everything, that United States will never admit that Crimea is part of Russia. So as of today's date, technically speaking, when we had our drone in the international zone, if we're considering Ukraine as our ally, we had absolutely no problem having our drone in this water zone. So considering the fact that Russia attacked the drone back in the days, the country that I remember, the United States, they would respond. When the Trump was in office, he only told once to the Russian military folks who were flying very close to our ships not to do it. When they tried it second time, we all know what happened, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So basically, right now, when we're actually having two attacks, one is actually we have this white ball flying through the country, nobody cares about it, and the second one, when we were pretty much the drone was attacked on the Black Sea region, and no
Right.
response.
No, they have no respect for Biden at all, and the Biden administration. There is none.
Those are all small things. Who cares about the drone? These are this is
This is not a small thing in terms of showing up the weaknesses that we have right now, that our government is pretty weak and they're not going to do anything. And the only thing they're talking about that we have to be very careful with Putin because he can use the
Krista, if you're saying that we should be tougher with Mr. Putin, I would agree with you. We should be. And I
this
would
was Rina, I think.
Oh, that was Rina. Who was saying this? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I would advocate that for that. We should be tougher. But in the grand scheme of things, the little things here, remember these incidents in Soviet times with planes buzzing each other and crossing into some territories, and it kept happening and happening and happening. Overflies of Alaska and overflies of Siberia and the spy planes and all that stuff. It was going on, and everybody just lived happily. There was a Cold War, and it just kept going and going and going. This is not the large issue. The large issue is what do we want as an end game? And we don't know what our government, U.S. government, wants as an end game. We would like to know, but they're not telling us. And what they're saying that Ukraine should decide, this is really not the case. Because Ukraine, the moment the West decides to cut back the military support, Ukraine will fall in line. I'm sorry to say that. And that's what we need to prevent.
Michael, there's some noise coming out from you because I muted everyone, and I don't know what's happening, but it's coming from you.
I'm sorry.
Can you do something? Yeah, sorry, I muted all of you guys. Yeah.
Could I ask a question to the man that just spoke?
Sure. Yes, of course. You can ask anybody.
And is everyone here Ukrainian?
No.
Okay.
I was born in Ukraine, but I was born in Soviet Union on the territory of modern Ukraine. So I'm not sure if I'm Ukrainian or if I'm Soviet born.
You're American. You're American. I mean,
I'm American. Sure, totally.
There you go.
I'm not Ukrainian. I was not born in Ukraine. I was born in the Soviet Union, but not in Ukraine.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm just kind of getting a sense. It's really good to be here. Sorry I was late. I think like the crux of the issue, I don't know. I've been really deep diving into this extensively, and when you say, you know, what we don't want is for the weapons to stop and to go to negotiation. To me, I don't really understand this. I kind of feel like it's a fantasy, this G7 strategy that we're going to support Zelensky to the end to have as many weapons as possible, because escalating with Russia being backed by China and in Iran, to me, all that's going to do is create global instability. It's going to create
more than is now.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me?
No, I'm absolutely with you.
There's nothing worse than we have right now.
No, first of all,
it can't be any worse than what we have now. We are a non-entity on the world stage today. The United States is not even considered in what anybody else is doing anymore. The past 2 years have put us in a situation where we have no credibility, and we just don't have. There's nothing. No one pays any attention to us anymore. And they don't care what we do or what we don't do. The only thing what I'm saying is we have a moral obligation to support freedom in Ukraine. And we have to support their fight for freedom. And in the same way that, that Texas wanted its independence, that the United States, won its revolution against Great Britain, these were revolutionaries. These were, it was a civil war when we fought, Great Britain. Okay, it was an internal war within the with the British colonies when the United States became independent. These were traitors to their country. Okay.
I just want to say one more thing. In addition to all of that, we can't forget the thing that back in 1994, we signed the memorandum where we, as the United States, as the UK, as a Kazakhstan and Russia, all agreed upon the fact that if Ukraine releases their weapons, including their nuclears, then we are going to support them, whatever it takes. And guess what? On May 9, we signed the Lend-Lease, right? Today is March 28. Nothing was done on the Lend-Lease. And the only thing I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, that every time we have a new bill, we send new billions of dollars to Ukraine on the weapons. But guess what? It's not the weapons. If you go inside the bill and you read about it, no, those are the tanks that will be done in 2025. This is something that we send if they do this and that. There's very little, like little drops that we send to Ukraine. We do not, the way that it seems to me right now, that Biden is actually in coalition with Russia and they just talk about supporting the Ukraine.
Well,
they're
not doing anything.
They're not releasing. They're not actually releasing any weapons. The joke in Ukraine when everything happened was when Obama was president, was that he's going to give them military support. He's going to give them blankets and pillows.
Exactly.
And we don't need blankets. We need guns. And none of that is happening. We're giving them. We're promising them money, but they can't buy weapons with the money. They're to defend themselves. We're promising them, these tanks, but it's not going to be for another, 3 years, 2 or 3 years.
So why don't they just negotiate when you think it can't get worse? I would very much.
Oh yeah, we got another 2 years of this to go through, and I can't imagine that it's going to get any better. I
don't think it's going to stay in the trenches. I think it's going to go into Russia attacking the U.S. Social kind of imploding. That would be the biggest.
You have to understand that Putin has a very firm grasp on history, and Jorge Santayana said a very long time ago. He says those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. Mm-hmm. Okay, Japan has already gone through this. Mm-hmm. Yamamoto told the Emperor of Japan. He said. I'm afraid that we are waking a sleeping giant. Behind every blade of grass is a sniper. And if Russia thinks they're going to invade the United States, I don't even think that's entered into Putin's mind. That is not even going into his mind.
They'll do it covertly. They'll do it through deep fake. They'll try to get us into a civil war. I mean, that's what I think the obvious.
Well, I think we're going to go into civil war already. I think that was beyond. Before I was talking about this 10 years ago, before Putin ever made a move on Crimea, I was talking about there will be coming a civil war. I hadn't anticipated that it would be for another 30 or 40 years, but I'm anticipating it's going to be much sooner if we continue doing the things that we're doing.